Okay, let's jump in. Just jump in. All right. Like I said, the good thing about live is that you can edit. So we'll probably edit that out. I don't know. I might leave it on just so y'all can see the real deal of what happens when you are a wife and a mom and all the things. Things happen. And so you have to shift and be nimble. And so with that, I want to say that if you watch all the way through to the end tonight, you are going to be in for a treat because there is a treat on tonight. I have something special for you. I had something special for you last night and the night before, but tonight is a little bit more special. And also, I want to just remind you of where we come from. So, like I said, this is our episode, and it's the third episode of the first series of Mission Rich Talk. For those of you who've been following me, you will remember that I used to do Tea and Talk Tuesdays, and it was fun, but I had to transition and rebrand. And so here we are with Mission Rich Talk. And so the first night we talked about positioning, right? Being positioned. The second episode, we talked about belief and how important belief is. And I'm not going to tell you all the things because I want you to go back and watch those episodes, okay? And then, of course, tonight is another thing. I'm not going to tell you just yet what we're talking about tonight. But what I am going to say is that, well, I am going to tell you because I'm not good at holding secrets. It's all about clear focus on tonight, right? So you position and you belief, not believe. There's a difference between believing and belief. And then clear focus. So tonight is all about focus, where it all becomes action, right? Where we pull it all together. And so stay with me because in addition to the something special, I have another little story that I want to connect to this story that we're about to tell now. And so what is the story? Let's lock in. So we all get the same amount of time. All of us, 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, 352 days of the year. If I'm not mistaken. I can't tell you the exact seconds, but there used to be a song that I would listen to that said all the seconds. I don't know all the seconds right now. But my point of the matter is we all get the same amount of time in these time segments, and nobody gets a longer day. Nobody. Even people who are born on February 29th, they can get an extra day. So the question is never how much time do you have? The question is always going to be, what do you do with the time that you have, right? So Usain Bolt, who is one of my favorite athletes, in 2012 did something that was spectacular. Now, again, I am not totally into track and field, but I do like to watch the Olympics, and it's one of the sports that I do watch when I watch it. He became the first man to win both the 100 and 200 meters back to back in the Olympics. Now, this is the thing. He ran 9.63 seconds in 2012. 9.63 seconds. You know how much that is miles per hour? He actually was running faster than a car, 28 miles per hour. He was the first ever to do this, okay? Now, I want you to really understand what this means. The distance of what he ran was the size of a football field. Okay? So it wasn't like this man just got up and decided, I'm just going to run real fast and be done. Like a football field is a distance. I don't know about you, but I really don't want to walk a football field. we have to, right? But my whole point is he ran the distance. He did the thing, but it wasn't the race. This is the thing I want you to understand. It wasn't the race. It was all the preparation that led up to the race. It was all of the nights that he had to go to bed early so he could get up early. It was all of the training that he had to put his body through. It was all of the gruesome things that his body had to endure to understand what it would take for it to operate at that highest level of efficiency. That's what focus does. Focus doesn't only look at the event or the time that you're actually going to be doing something. focus locks in like, look, if I don't do the thing that's necessary now, when the main event happens, I am not going to be effective. I'm not going to operate at a level of excellence. So there's a level of preparation that happens with focus. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because everything that he wanted, he focused on beforehand. He actually saw himself winning and then had to backtrack all the things that was going to take for him to win. But here's the thing. I watched his documentary. It wasn't just him. He had a whole coach. He had a whole team. He had people that were undergirding him and supporting him, even though they all didn't eat the regimen of food that he ate and the strictness of the diet that he had to be in and stuff like that. But they still were pushing him and motivating him to continue to be the best he could be, even if he felt in those moments that he was like, I'm all set with this. I got to eat. Because he would literally vomit because his body was under so much pressure that it would cause him to not even be able to keep water down or whatever the case may be, right? Now, I'm not telling you to go torture your body. That's not the point of this story. The point of the story is that many people want to have the laser focus to be successful, but they don't want to put the work in to be able to be successful. Oh, and by the way, going back to that redeeming of time, he was able to do over the course, if you think about it this way, the amount of time that it takes the average person to get across a football field, even running, is much slower than him, than what he's able to do, right? So what I'm telling you is that you can have the same amount of space to cover and be able to cover that space quicker if you're prepared and if you have the right supports in place and the right people who are able to help you to get there. Okay? Got it? Locked in? Good. All right, all right. I like that. I like that. I see locked in the chat. That's what I'm talking about. So, what is the definition of focus? Now, let me say this because I know y'all probably like, oh, she's talking about Usain Bolt. What about Sha'Carri? Because she's so fast too. We're gonna talk about Sha'Carri too, but that's gonna be a little bit later. So hold tight so we can talk about her race and how we can take a look at her race and use that as a form of focus as well. But for now, we're going to talk about what the definition of focus is. The definition of focus, based on the dictionary, is the center of activity or attention, a point of concentration, to give your attention and effort to one particular thing. That is what it means, to give your attention to one particular thing. However, with everything that we do, y'all know I always got to have a different way that I spin it. So I looked at the origin of the word focus and I found out that it comes from a Latin word hearth. Now I'm in total educator mode right now, so I hope you're taking notes. Hearth. It could be hearth or hearth. I don't know because I didn't look up the sound of how you say it, the phonics. I just looked at the word because I thought the word meant something because I saw heart there. But anyways, the fireplace, the center of the home where the family gathered and the light and warmth came from. That's what a hearth is, okay? So the focus is to come back to the center. Use this because what I'm trying to say to you is that you want to be centered on the thing that matters most. And the reason why I love this definition is because for everybody that I know, every mission-driven leader that I know, I have not yet found one that says their family is not important to them. Not one. I haven't found one that doesn't have values or a system of passion, something that drives them that is likely because of somebody that they grew up with or something that happened to them when they were a child or something that reminds them of a familial thing that is the reason why they do the thing that they do. So my definition of focus is a little longer than the definition, but it encompasses both of those. And what it is not doing more. Because the thing with the initial meaning of focus, this is why I think a lot of people are totally not focused, is because it means being having something as your point of concentration. Well, your point of concentration can change every day, 5 times a day. You can sit down, I'm gonna focus on this, I'm gonna focus on that, I'm gonna focus on this. Okay. And then wonder why we didn't get anywhere. But my definition is deciding what requires your attention based on its connection to your ultimate goal. Okay? Based on its connection to your ultimate goal. So we're not doing focus on all these things. No, we're focusing on things more like a line. Okay? So it's not scattered. That's not focus to me. Focus is not doing all the things and doing a little bit here and there. Focus is really, if you're a mission driven leader and you want to have impact and you want to move to being a mission rich leader, then it means that you're following a line. You're making a decision on what you're supposed to focus on based on its connection to your ultimate goal. So if this is your goal, now you're focusing on something that's going towards your ultimate goal. Even though before you thought you were doing something great because I'm going to focus on going to the gym today and my kids in this, in that, in this, in that. And then you're like, wow, no wonder I feel discombobulated by the end of the day. But if I'm focusing on everything going towards my goal, then there's a different way that I look at it and a different way that I make decisions as to how things get done, who can help me with those things, and all those types of things, right? So that the responsibility doesn't always fall on me. Now, protecting that decision from everything else that should not be competing for it. This is why I told you my definition is longer. I'm not even writing it down because it's going to take too long. I'm going to say it again. I might even put it in the chat later. Focus is not doing more. Focus is deciding what requires your attention based on its connection to your ultimate goal. And then protecting that decision from everything else that should not be competing with it. So what do I mean by that? Your family, your values. Y'all can go ahead and put it in the chat. What are some things that are important to you that you feel like I'm supposed to be locked in on this, but I feel like this is a total distraction? And it's your kid calling you because your kid wants to check in with you. Or it's your doctor calling you because you haven't made an appointment yet and you need to go get your annual done. Or it's your mom calling you because she just wants to say, hey, because she hasn't heard from you in a while. It's your spouse calling you because, hey, it's been like 3 weeks since we had a date night. And it feels like a major distraction because you're so locked in. That's not focus. That's not focus. No, not if you want to be a mission-rich leader. It's a distraction wrapped up in focus to keep you from doing the thing that's really going to create impact. Because at the end of the day, if you're a mission-driven leader and you're moving to be a mission-rich leader and you're saying, I ultimately want to be in a place where X. I'll give an example of what people have said to me. I want to be able to actually go on vacations. Who are you going on vacation with? Not by yourself, with your family. Right? So is it a distraction for your child to be reaching out to you? Absolutely not. They're important to you. But if we don't have our focus lined up properly, then the things that shouldn't be annoying us will annoy us for the thing that shouldn't even be a priority. So this is what we're breaking down tonight. Somebody say, break it down, break it down. Break it down. Wait, I don't know. There was a movie I used to watch, and they said, break it down, break it down, break it way down. Then they start going down. No, I ain't gonna do that. I ain't breaking it down, but I'll break it down like this in teaching. I'm not breaking it down the other way. Okay, get that whole visual out your head. All right, so what lacks focus costs you? Think of it this way. I'm gonna do a red dollar signs because that's what this is. Every single time you are paying attention to something that does not align with your ultimate goal, you are wasting money. You're wasting time. That's why I say wasting money, because anytime you waste time, you're wasting money, because time and money have a value. And the thing with time is you can't get it back. So it costs you more than money. That's why sometimes I'll say to people, if you are needing to have your house clean, just pay somebody to clean it. Oh, I don't have the money for that. But you're taking 12 hours to clean it yourself. You could have paid somebody to do it in 2 hours. Now you could have took your 12 hours and got a nap in, maybe did some more work so that you could get some things done and be productive. Maybe spend some time with your spouse. Like, think about it as not always limiting yourself to be the thing implementing everything as a way to save money when you're wasting time. You got to balance that out. That's another lesson we'll talk about another day. So you are cooking, doing the things, and from the side, it looks like everything is fine. What am I saying? I'm going to tell you a story. I like stories because stories are good. When you got visuals, it helps. So I'm in the kitchen. I got my laptop, doing some work, cooking breakfast for my husband because I enjoy, that's like my favorite meal of the day. I love breakfast. So I think that particular day I was making some salmon patties from scratch and some grits and some eggs and some toast or whatever. So I'm in the kitchen doing that plus working at the same time. And I'm looking, glancing at my grits every few seconds to make sure they're all right. But let me tell you what happened. As I was looking, I'm like, a certain amount of time has passed, and I'm noticing that something might not be right about these grits. So I go over to look at the pot, and I notice there's this leakage going out the back of the pot that I couldn't see because it wasn't facing me. So from the front and from my peripheral, it looked like everything was fine. But the reality, it wasn't. So I had to go do the whole thing all over again and do it right. Why do I say do it right? Because I wasn't focused. They were all messed up and watered down and all the things. So, what I'm trying to say to you is this: there are consequences of focus when you lack focus. Now, grits aren't super expensive, right? They're a few dollars. Everything is more now than it used to be, but it's not a big loss that I had to make more grits. But only if that is your accounting system, only if that is your a sickness that you're not paying attention to, only if that is a staff member that is telling you they're checking in at a certain time and they're really not. Before you know it, now that stuff starts to build up. Why? Because you're not focused. You're not focused. So 40% of productivity time is lost between task switching, 23 and a quarter minutes to refocus when you are not focused on something. Did you know that? Did you know that it takes the average person 23 minutes, 20, it says 23 and a quarter minutes. So I'm going to say it just like that. I'm looking at my research. 96 minutes a day is wasted from people not being focused, including you. And that's an average. Now, if you're like me, you probably wasted more than 96 minutes because you probably have people interrupting you every 5 seconds, doing all the things, and text pop up, this happened, all the things. Now, we are not tonight going to talk about how to put together a productivity plan. That's not what we're doing tonight. What the point of tonight is to help you to understand the things that feel like focus, but they're not. Because if we think something is focusing, if you're going to build a productivity plan, it's not going to be a really good plan because you're still not prioritizing the right things, or you have a lack of understanding of how it's affecting you or costing you time. Okay. So 75% of nonprofit leaders burn out. And this is the thing. We don't have an exact number of social entrepreneurs. That means people who are mission driven who do not run nonprofit organizations. We don't have an exact number on that, but we do know that mission driven leaders have identified burnout as the number one reason why they quit, leave, or are not effective. Okay. So you are not behind because you are not working hard enough. You are behind because your hard work has been scattered across many things. Does that make sense? Does that sound like you? If that sounds like you don't have to tell anybody unless you just want to. But I tell you, it was me. It was absolutely me. So that's why I can tell you, because I know as a mission driven leader what happens and what causes us to not be as effective as we should be. So, what are the things? What are the things that act like they're focused, but they're not? I might have some ideas. I got to get through this, y'all. I've been enjoying my conversation, but I forgot we did start a few minutes late because I did have some other things going on in my life, other duties that I don't mind. I'm appreciative of having those circumstances. All right. So, the number one thing that acts like focus, but is not, is urgency. I made it green because people think as soon as something gets urgent, they have to go and do it. The loudest things grab your attention, not exactly the most important things. Notice that. Loud does not equal Important. Okay. Loud does not equal important. So something that might be urgent and important at the same time should require your attention immediately as a leader, as a founder, as the person that is responsible for a lot of things. However, you do not allow urgency to set your focus. If your goal is set already and a thing comes up, if you're focused enough, you've already made in your mind some room to plan for the thing that might arise. If you're focused. But if you're not focused, then it'll be like, oh my God, I gotta do this. Everybody else's emergency does not make it your priority. Okay? Because that's how your mission gets your leftovers. What do I mean? The thing you're supposed to be doing, you don't do because you're doing everything else for everybody else instead of the thing that you're supposed to do. So then you say, well, I haven't been able to accomplish anything because I've been doing da 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 da. I've been so busy. No, you've been seeking after resolving everybody else's issues and everybody else's problems instead of allowing people to learn how to what? Fill in the blank. Do some things themselves. If the urgent thing always wins, the important thing never gets your attention, never gets your best. So again, we're not talking about productivity tonight. We're not breaking that part down, but I think it's very important for you to understand that the sense of urgency becoming your priority and your focus does not mean that is the right thing to do in that moment. But that's why you got to have a plan for it. The next thing is familiarity. Now, doing what you are already good at because it feels safe. You got two things to do. I can make phone calls with people that I know and check in, or I can send out some emails introducing myself to folks I don't know that I need to get funding from. I'm gonna just go ahead and call the people that I know because I haven't talked to them in a while. We gotta keep those. Now we start to justify why we gotta do the thing we're comfortable with. Well, I'm really good at graphics, so I'll take care of that. But that's not what you're supposed to do. That's somebody else can do the graphics. ChatGPT can do the graphics. Anybody else can do the graphics. Why are you doing the graphics? Oh, because I'm gifted at it. But is that the thing that your business needs from you right now? Is that the thing that your mission needs from you right now? So most of the time we focus on the comfortable task and we can do that very well instead of the thing that's important. And we never get to the thing that is important. And this is the thing, comfort is a quiet thief. While you're sitting around comfortable, there's a lot of things not getting done that need to get done that only you can do. But you're comfortable doing something, even if it's not the right thing. So let's get rid of that. Now, this is the most deceptive one, number 3. And I am going to put this in black. I'm going to hide it while I'm writing it out so y'all can't see it until I finish. How about that? Because this one, I know I got a lot of women. I got a lot of women that are watching. And guess what? Y'all know all about this word, multitasking. Multitasking is the most deceptive focus. It is not even a human idea. As a matter of fact, it says it was coined in 1966 by computers, a machine that was running several operations at once. So we borrowed it for people around 1988 and said it helps us to be more efficient. But a computer is not built the same way people are. And oh, by the way, when a computer starts to multitask too much, what does it do? It crashes. So shouldn't we understand that as people, we will crash if we try to do too much? So there was a neuroscientist, Earl Miller, and this is my notes. I got to read this one. Your brain cannot truly focus on two demanding things at once. But we've been told we can multitask. But he's telling you, a specialist of brains, that that's not a reality. You can't do two demanding things at once. Now, you can sit around and have music playing in the background while you're working. That's not multitasking. You're not listening to music and working. You're not. You just can't focus on two things that are important at once. You might, If you're a mom, this resonates. There was a meme that went out, and this was years ago, and it resurfaces every now and again. And it's like the little kid's like, "Mom, mom, mom." Not the annoying kid. There's another one that's annoying that just says it, and just so the mom just can be vexed. I'm talking about the other one where he says, "Mommy, mom, mom," and he's calling mom, and mom is like, "Uh huh, yep, uh huh," and she's just working away, not responding, and they're sitting there like, "Hello, mom." And so, no, you're not. You think you are, but you're not. You don't even realize your kids asked you the same thing 5 times because you were multitasking. It's not a thing. So let me add this for good measure. Multitasking costs you 40% of your productivity time. This is according to American Psychological Association. The switching can cost up to 40% of your productivity time. So your brain actually needs 4 times longer to recognize new information when you're switching back and forth. That's worse than the other thing where we were just doing a lot and not really focused. Trying to think you can do multiple things and bounce back and forth. You may actually think you're being some success, but you're not. Because what it says is if you're able to do things okay, multitasking, how much more successful would you be if you were not multitasking? And this is another whole episode that we're going to do in the future. But I want to know, does this resonate with you? Because the things that really resonate with you are the things I really want to focus on, because I want to continue to unpack the things that are going to help us as mission driven leaders, as high capacity leaders, as high performing leaders, and especially as those who want to become mission rich. And I believe all mission driven leaders should aspire to be mission rich. And these are the things that we talk about in the Mission Rich experience, right? And in the Mission Rich Academy, we talk about these things because it is so important that we not just look at a goal and say, let's set a goal and let's achieve it and let's come up with a strategy, but the person that you need to become in order to carry out the goal and even beyond the goal and even see bigger than the goal. That's what Mission Rich leadership is all about. So multitasking flatters you. It makes you feel like you're all that in a bag of chips, but it drains you. Okay? It feels productive and then you feel completely depleted afterwards. If that resonates with you, I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it. So yesterday I was talking about the water story. That's what I'm calling it, the water story, because I ain't have a better name for it. And so basically what I was saying to y'all was that if you take water and a certain pressure and you focus it at a thing like a brick wall, that you can actually penetrate a brick wall with water because of the level of concentration that it has. Not the force, but the concentration of it just being right in the same spot for a continuous amount of time, right? It will open up the concrete. Now, most people will say, if you hit me with some water, I'll be okay. If you hit me with some concrete, I won't be okay. But the reality is that you take that water long enough, concentrated enough, if you're focused enough, like that water for long enough, I don't care what obstacles you're dealing with. I don't care what situations that you're dealing with. You can absolutely penetrate the thing that you have been fighting against forever, even if it feels like decades, even if it feels like since you were a little girl or a little boy. You can absolutely get to your destination if you lock in and stay focused on the thing and not allowing all the other things to get in the way and take away your focus and compete against the thing that you said you wanted to do. Stay true to what you said you wanted to do, that you believe you're supposed to do, that you say in your heart, this is what I'm supposed to do, but yet you keep on allowing distractions. You keep allowing other people's urgency. You keep on allowing familiarity of what you're used to. Well, I don't know how to go to a bank and ask for money. I never did that before. Well, try it. So you can at least say you did it, and then maybe it worked and didn't. Now we could do it better next time. But if you don't at least try, I never taught before people. I never stood and did a presentation before. I'm so scared. Try it. Just do it. Like Nike. Just do it, right? Let me scratch that Nike. They didn't pay me for that advertisement. So this is the thing I want you to think about. And I really want you to hear this. Yes, a high pressure hose with a water can be very fierce, right? It can do some damage. It can really get through. But let me tell you this from another angle. I used to manage a commercial building, and we had this stain on the panel of one of the pillars in the building that went all the way down from the roof, all the way down to the basement. And on like the second floor, we noticed that there was this damage on this pillar. And so we walked it up and we found it all the way to the roof. What happened was that when we went to do the investigation, and when I say we, it ain't me, because y'all know I am not a plumber or anything like that. The people who specialize in doing the plumbing and stuff did the investigation and the roof work. And what they found was there was some standing water on the roof, very little bit. Like if you could see my hands, it was not a lot. It was standing water. And what happened is because the water was standing, it started to penetrate the roof membrane, and then it caused a leak to go down the walls, all the way down to the basement. Now, when you look at where the leak came from, it was a little constant drip. It was a tiniest drip you could even think about, but it was constant enough that there was always standing water sitting there, which caused this leak to happen. What am I saying to you? You don't need to be an 8,000 to 40,000 psi focused water hose for you to penetrate the thing that is an obstacle for you. No, all you have to do is be consistent, even if it's a constant drip that you put in every single day, just a little bit at a time. You can absolutely create a change and a transformation. Do you hear me? It don't take a lot. It just takes being locked in. Okay? You don't have to do all the things. Just do the one thing. And do it long enough and consistent enough to create change. That's what I'm doing. I'm focused. I'm like, look, I told my coach I was going to get back and do my YouTube. I've been fighting getting on YouTube for like a year almost because I thought, oh, you got to have this and you got to do that and you got to have a whole team and you got to have a videographer. No, my coach said, let me tell you what my coach said to me, and I'm telling you because it resonates. My coach said, I have a couple coaches. Let me stress that I have a few coaches. Why? Because every coach can't coach you in everything. So I have a coach for different things because I want to perfect in different things. And as I focus on the one thing, I realize there's different things that affect the one thing. So that's why I have to get coached. Okay? Not because I'm doing three different things, one thing. But this is the thing. He said, is it possible? Is it possible that when you pray for something, that when the thing happens, it's because God touched somebody to bless you? Yes, absolutely. Because I don't remember God ever cracking the heavens for me and coming down and putting money in my hand or anything like that. But I know I've never been hungry and my kids haven't, and we've always had the right things and all the stuff, right? So what he was saying is God will use somebody to be a blessing to you. Fair point. We all agree, right? We all agree. Now, is it possible that somebody is praying for the thing that you do, and because you're waiting to perfect it and you don't get to it, now they got to wait for the blessing? So you want God to hurry up and be a blessing to you, but you're taking forever to be a blessing to somebody else. When I tell you that shook my whole tree, I said, oh, we going on live this week. Matter of fact, we're going to do it 3 days in a row because I want to put it in for good measure to the Lord that I have received the rebuke. No, I don't have the fancy camera right now. No, I don't have the fancy studio and editing and all the things that will come. But you know what I have? I have a message that I know that God put in me that I'm supposed to give to somebody. And by the views that I'm starting to see happening, I'm a believer that the people that it's for are starting to receive it. I believe you wouldn't be here tonight listening live if you didn't feel that there was something that had to be said and that God was going to use me as a vessel to give you the information that you needed, right? So in the same way, what about you? Are you being the vessel that you're supposed to be, or are you distracted? Are you not positioned? Are you still not having the belief? That's what this is about, these 3 days. How do you strategically get the right question in your mind of what you're supposed to do unless you are positioned, unless you have the belief, and unless you are focused. That is what this is about. Y'all feel me? Are you with me? You got that? Yes, yes. All right. So this is the 3 tests that I want you to think about to know if you have the right focus. All right. The 3 tests. I'm giving a lot tonight. I hope you getting up, get like one of my one of my influencers I like to listen to. He said, "Are you picking up what I'm putting down?" And I'd be like, "Yep." Well, I feel like that right now. I'm feeling so excited. I feel like something is happening right now in the room, and I pray that you are receiving it. The number one thing that you can look at to test of whether you have the right focus is alignment. Alignment. What do I mean by alignment? Does this move the mission or just the moment? The thing that you're supposed to be doing, is it aligned with what you're doing? Does it cause whatever you're working on to move forward, or is it just keeping you active? We don't want to just be active. Not today. We got too much going on. People tired. People need to sleep. They need a vacation. We don't have time to just be doing just to be doing. And the reason why this is important, I'm going to tell you when we get to 3. The second one is highest value. The highest value. Is the work something only you should do? Or are you holding something or a system that somebody else should be holding? This is why we're getting ready for that Sha'Carri Richardson story in a second, because this is very important. Are you doing something that you can have a volunteer do, that you can have a staff member do, that you can have a relative do? Or are you carrying things that don't belong to you because you feel obligated and it doesn't belong to you? So why are you carrying it? You stealing? Are you a thief now? Are you a thief? Are you taking stuff that don't belong to you? You gotta cut that out. You know God don't like thieves. Stop trying to carry stuff that don't belong to you. I need to put that on a shirt. All right, the fruit test. That's the last one for tonight. Now, I'm sure there's a few others, but these are the 3 primary ones that I'm focusing on tonight. Is this producing real movement or just motion? Has something grown or been impacted because of this? If you're doing something for a week, 2 weeks, okay, so case in point, if I decided I was going to do my YouTube channel and nobody followed me, nobody viewed, nobody was interested, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. But if I do it, now this is the thing, even when I wasn't doing it right, and I'm not saying I'm doing it perfect now, but I have a much clearer message now than I did years ago. And you can look back at some of my videos to see that I've definitely come along a journey. I used to post everything on my YouTube channel. Then I started like, oh, wait, maybe I should only post this. Like even when I went through my cleanse, I have that going on. Like I have some everything in my earlier years. But my point is, I had to look and see, is it growing? And yes, I would get like 7, 8 views or something like that. So it let me know somebody was receiving what I was sharing. Even if it was the one, it wasn't none. So I knew I was on the right track. But what I also understood was I wasn't focused enough on the right things, which is why I wasn't seeing the fruit. Okay? You do not need to do more. You need to ask, of the things in front of me, which one deserves my full attention now? Sometimes you are the thing that requires your attention now. So what are you trying to focus on? Is this real? Is it multitasking, urgency, familiarity, wearing a focused costume? I want you to think about that. I want you to run the test. Whenever you get ready to do something, run the test. Is it aligned? Is it yours to carry? Is it bearing fruit? Remember, you ain't no thief. You wasn't born a thief. You ain't trying to be no thief. Stop taking things that don't belong to you. Stop carrying things that don't belong to you. And what is the one thing that deserves your attention? And what will you release so you can have it? That's the decision you have to make tonight. I didn't write that down. But I want you to make a decision. What is the thing that deserves your attention? And what will you release so that you can have it? And how will you do that? How will you do that? Okay, I'm about to wrap it up. This is my wrap up story. If anybody has a question that's on live, you can go ahead and post it because I'm going to tell this story and I want to answer at least one question tonight from somebody who's on live. So feel free to put that in the chat if you have a question. I'm gonna give you about 10 more seconds. Y'all just gotta know, look, when you're on live, you get to ask a question. So if you put that question up in there and I see it, I can answer it because I want to feel like you got what was set out there for you on tonight. Resonated. And I prefer the question relate to what we're talking about on tonight, a focused question. But if it doesn't, I'm good with that too. All right. So as we are, I don't want to say coming to an end because I'm so excited. I don't want to leave y'all. I'm having a good time. What are we called to do? I told y'all, I promised y'all Sha'Carri Richardson, so here we go. Bolt did participate in relays, but that is not what we're talking about tonight as far as the success in the records that he broke, right? And if we're honest, that is what many of us do. We focus on the solo race, thinking we have to do the solo thing. But tonight, I want you to look back to the 2024 Olympics, and it is a meme, a clip that we've all seen, a reel, right? Millions and millions and millions of times. I think everyone has seen it at this point. And we watch the women's U.S. Olympic team run that 4x4, I think it's called. Look, I told you I'm not in track. It was 4 of them running around 100. How about that? 4x100. And so they run and they're passing the baton to one another. And they get to the very end, and Sha'Carri gets that baton and she is running like her house is on fire and she got to go back and save somebody. Okay? And she's running so fast that although US was supposed to be behind by the time they got done, she had smoked everything. She took that anchor and she ran it home. And it's so beautiful because you can literally feel the emotion through the video of the intensity of how much she wanted it. Not just for herself, but for her team. Not just for her team, but for her country. And so I don't want you to ever feel like it's a bad thing that you want to do these great things. But what I want you to remember is that Sha'Carri had 3 other people helping her to win the race. Sha'Carri had 3 other people helping her to win the race. She was the anchor. She brought it in. She did her job. That was the hardest job for the race is the anchor. And that is what you are supposed to be. You are supposed to be the anchor, the one that brings it all in, the one that makes sure at the end of the day, this needs to happen, but you're not doing it by yourself. So if it's okay, if I have your permission, can I show you where you learn to run your leg and trust the handoff instead of trying to do it all by yourself and run the relay by yourself? Because it's not about willpower. It's a structure thing that we all have to work on. And so the reason why I bring that up is because oftentimes we go through all the things talking about the areas that folks can really benefit from getting to their goals successfully, and on this week we did that, right? Your job is to run your leg and take it home, not to run every leg for everyone, but we'll do it because we think that's what we're supposed to do. We'll do that because that's what we believe we've been called to do. How many of you listening to me on tonight have thought, I can't focus, everything depends on me? How can I do that? I don't have time for no challenge. I don't have time to take 3 days for lunch to sit and learn because I got other things I have to do. When there's actually an atmosphere that you can be in, they call it the mission rich experience, where you can sit down and learn over the course of 3 days with me how to hold on to that clarity, that focus that you're looking for, how not just to hold on to it, but to be able to carry it through to the goal that you set, so that within 90 days you're looking at your life in a totally different light. And it doesn't take 90 days to get there, but 90 days is the guarantee. So, do you agree knowing is not the same as building the structure that protects it, the thing that you're working on? Do you agree that urgent non-priorities, I'll say it that way, urgent non-priorities will always say now is not the time? Do you want to lock in so that you can achieve more in less time and not be the one trying to figure it out for years and years and years and years? Are you ready to relay this thing out and stop trying to be that one solo doing everything, even though you might have a team? And that's a real thing. So I want you to join me. Join me at the Mission Rich Experience, y'all, which is next week. I do it once a month, and I want you to tune in. This month coming up is July 29th through the 1st of August. And I told you I had something special. If you have been on the call with me for the last 3 days, then I have a scholarship opportunity for you, not just a viewer access, but a premium access. That means that you get access to the full grant writing class that I did, 6.5 hours masterclass. Phenomenal. I had somebody in that class who was there, had been doing grants for 27 years, and he said, LaTonia, I learned so much from you, and I've been doing grants for 27 years. That's what I'm talking about. That's included in this premium access. You get access to the workbook, which allows you to work through everything and take it home with you and comb through it and ask the questions. You get 30 days access to the recording. Because remember, as we're focusing and as we're learning, as we're growing, as we're believing in ourselves and positioning ourselves, we want to be able to refer back to the thing so that we can continue to do it better, right? And last but not least, we get the opportunity to have a strategic hot seat. What does that mean? You get the opportunity and premium access to be able to tell me all the things that you have going on in advance and the priority areas that you want assistance with. And I give you 15 minutes of coaching real time after the call during the VIP session. And I will admit, sometimes it goes longer than 15 minutes because it depends on what the situation is. But folks who come into the VIP session, they get that extra hour every day that they're able to ask the questions and unpack, not just the things that we talk about in the regular session. So for those of you who have been in the sessions the last 3 days, I want you to email me at info@monroenaylor.com. I know who you are and you know who you are. So email me. If you already accessed the viewer access, you can still email me and we can upgrade you to premium access. That's 3 scholarship seats. Now, I want to tell you, we have 20 seats in total. We have a little bit, we still have some left. Let me say that. We still have a little bit more than 10 seats open. So I want you to tell a neighbor, tell a friend that we are going to unpack all the things that we did on the last 3 days and dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Somebody say, dig a little deeper. But we're going to stick with that relay and say, pass the baton. Come on, somebody, and pass that baton. Teach me how to pass the baton and not try to carry it. Does that look good for you to be running a relay and you carrying the baton the whole time? Absolutely not. You're supposed to pass that baton. This is what we're going to do with the Mission Rich Experience. So y'all have a good night. If I missed, I was just checking to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I look forward to seeing y'all at the Mission Rich Experience. Tell somebody, y'all. We're going to be doing big things on next week. Take care. Have a good night.